when we escaped the war in Bosnia and then went to Serbia, and then from Serbia to America. I didn't have a lot of friends. So I was by myself for those formative years, you know, from maybe second grade all the way up until about sixth grade. I don't think I went out once with any friends. So I had to figure out ways to just, entertain myself. And that was through art, that was through that was through art, that was through just going out by myself playing, and that's it. So then when I went to second grade, that's when I actually started going out with friends, and I was so happy because it was like the first time, you know, I was able to go out to the lakes and stuff like that, to the beach with friends. So it was a good time. So that was 7th and 8th grade. And that only lasted for those two years. And then after that, I went to high school, but I went to a different high school that was much farther away from me, from where I lived. So I didn't want to bother my parents to keep driving me to my friend's house. So I never went out throughout those, first couple of years until I got my car as well. So I think I just learned from there to just be alone. And then now you end up preferring to be alone, which I don't think is the best thing, but I like to go out with friends. But for some reason I just end up choosing, to be mainly in solitude. Yeah. But, I think that's what helped me also get me really mentally strong too. Is just being always by myself and figuring out these problems and issues by myself. I really didn't have anybody to go to or talk to. Not even my father, not my mother, not my sister. And that's not because we're not close, it's just not the way our culture is. You keep everything to yourself. Which again, I don't know how good that is, but this is how I was brought up. And this is how they were brought up because, they didn't know any better either. And it's like a snowball effect. If I had kids, I would probably go in a different way and try to talk to them as much as possible and tell them that they can come to me and talk to me. Especially with the experience that I have now, after going through a lot of difficult times, it's very easy for me to help somebody out. For 7 months in 2014, that was my first time staying in Thailand for a long term. I was really all about learning the language. I really wanted to learn. So I went to school for 6 months, and that absolutely helped me out a lot, learning the tones and things like that. And then after that, I just, learned by myself. And honestly, I should be fluent by now, but I've gotten very lazy and stopped learning. And I think if I wanted to become fluent, all I would need is just learn some new vocabulary words. Like I said, I'm so lazy to just sit down and take an hour out of my day and just study new words. I don't have those aspirations anymore. Before I really did. So now I just, it's a longer process because I just learn words. If I'm speaking with Q, he'll teach me something new. Or with somebody else, or I'll look it up in the dictionary if I hear something. But after staying here for so long, I should be fluent right now.
Has it helped you form bonds with Thai teammates and coaches and stuff?
I don't know about forming bonds, but it's definitely helped me understand things. I've learned a lot more about Muay Thai as a sport. The gambling aspects, how things are done, the cultural aspects of Thailand. So that's what it's helped me with. And yeah, you do get close to some of these fighters as well. you know, there's some guys that I always spar with, and they help me out for my fights. I help them out for their fights, so it's nice.
Do you think it's hard for foreigners to come to Thailand and make friends with Thai people?
Culturally, yes, because the culture is completely different. We do things completely different than what they do, and they do things completely different than what we do. I mean, yeah, there's some similarities as well, but there are a lot more differences. So yeah, I think in that way it's difficult. But as far as maybe like, you know, emotionally, I think that's the same. You know, people are the same as far as emotion goes. One of the biggest things that I can tell foreigners who aspire to come here and live here is to just be open-minded, you know? Not everything's gonna be the same as it is back home. Some things will drive you absolutely insane, but you're in a different country and you have to respect the way they do things here. And you have to do things the way they do things here, so I can't tell you, I mean, I can't remember the last time when I had known that I was gonna fight somebody a month in advance. Even this fight, I was supposed to fight actually a week after tomorrow, and then, you know, I found out 2 weeks ago that the fight just got pushed back to the 8th. So I only had three weeks, and 3 weeks is more than enough to prepare for a fight, whether it's strategy or cardio stuff. But you know, there's constant changes. And I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow I end up going there and there's another change. Maybe they replace me with another completely different fighter, because I've been through these things so many times. Even for my first title fight, I fought on a 3 days notice. And I could have said no, but I chose not to because I didn't know when I was going to get that opportunity again. So I had to grab it as soon as possible, and I believed in myself, and you know, I ended up doing well in the fight. Every once in a while, I'll think about my career, but it's not something that I take a lot of time to think about. And I've never been once proud of myself for anything I've done, because again, I think that I think when you're proud of yourself, I think that's when you've achieved everything. But how can you have achieved everything that you've strived for? There's always something else that I want. So even if let's say I won the Rajnaman title, there's always something else. I wanna, you know, my aspirations when I won the Omnoy title was to defend it at least 3 times. And that's when I would be maybe proud of myself. But I failed to do that, so how can I be proud of myself? And then, you know, if I do win the Rajnaman title, I would probably have the same goals. I would want to defend it a minimum of 2 to 3 times. But that's very difficult to do. But I set these unrealistic goals for myself because that's what means something to me. So I don't think I'll be ever proud of anything I've done. And that's not to say that, you know, I think that I'm a failure or something like that. That's not what I'm trying to say. I know that I'm good, I know that I'm skilled, but I just don't think I'll ever be happy with what I've done in my life. There's always going to be something else that I want. Some people ask me why I don't fight for one championship or, you know, for the RWS or WRS. And my answer is always the same. It's because for me, I grew up in a different different generation, which was for me the pinnacle of the sport is to get the titles here in Thailand. I think if I was brought up now, maybe if I was born, 10 years ago or 15 years ago maybe, and I was brought up in this generation where, there's a lot more emphasis on the one championship titles, then I think I would probably want to go for that one championship title. But for me, the only titles that hold true meaning are the titles here in Thailand, and there's only, now Omnoi Stadium and Rajadamnern Stadium for those various reasons. And even when you fight at the Rajadamnern Stadium, unless you're fighting for these 5-round fights and you're working your way up through the ranks, I don't think there's any meaning in the titles if you win. If you're fighting for 3-round fights. So like I was saying earlier, I want to do it my way. I want to do it the correct way, the way Karahat did it, the way Kansak did it, the way Boonlight did it, the way Sanchai did it. I want to do it exactly the way they did it. Otherwise, I can't sleep at night. And so that's one of the reasons why I choose to continue fighting these 5-round fights. And I forego the fact that I will not make good money off of these fights. There's been a substantial cut since COVID restrictions. I could be making almost triple the amount of money that I make now if there was no COVID, even at the 5-round fights. But because of COVID, the money just went down substantially, like 60%, 70%. And so I don't do it for the money. I do it for, I guess, just for the glory, for myself, to feel good about what I'm doing. So in that way, I was saying earlier that I have no regrets in my life. That's exactly how I want to continue. So I forego the money, because the money I feel like I can always make. At the end of the day, I wouldn't be embarrassed if I was to lose everything. I wouldn't be embarrassed to go and work at McDonald's. I don't give a fuck. What I have inside me and the knowledge means a lot more to me than the money. The money, you can always figure out a way to make money. But this knowledge, this skill, you can't buy that. And so when I'm on that deathbed and that film is playing through my life, that's when hopefully I can say that I'm proud of what I've done. And I can finally let go and say, okay, you can die in peace. And you can die with a certainty that you've done absolutely everything that you can in your life to have a meaningful life. Because at the end of the day, we give meaning to our lives, nobody else.